Interesting. It's actually been a couple of years since we've tested or thrown a leg over a GASGAS, a famous Spanish brand, with a steeped in history in trials and enduro. As most of you know, they've been purchased by KTM about a year ago now. There's been sort of scant news about what the bikes are going to look like. There's been a lot of cynicism about them being, red KTMs or red Huskies. But great to come out here, out at the Learning to Fly MX track up in the Central Tablelands in New South Wales. Beautiful motocross facility, and Benny Grabham took us on like a 3-hour trail ride today. So it gave us a really good opportunity to test these new range of bikes now made in Austria by the KTM factory. As they call it, saying a condensed range, and that is the 125 two-stroke motocrosser, then the 250 four-stroke motocrosser, and then on the enduro side of things, you've got the 250 300 two-stroke enduro bikes and the 250 350. So look, as I said, there's some cynicism. It's always really funny, and it was it was interesting listening to the KTM guys last night. Whenever anybody talks about the sort of same platform, social media lights up about, oh yeah, look, that's the same old bike. But I think we've got to come into this with an open mind, and it was really interesting last night actually at the technical presentation, just sort of give us an idea not only about the component spec and the pricing of these bikes, but also sort of where they're positioned. So there's a lot of marketing jingo thrown around, but I think everybody knew that these GASGASs were going to come in sort of priced slightly under, and with a component spec slightly down on their KTM and Husky counterparts, and that's exactly what we found of these bikes. So I think the interesting thing really is in the detail there. But let's just sort of talk about a little bit of how they've positioned them. And you've probably heard out of America, like gas gas bam bam, as in Justin Barsha, fun. The word fun comes up over and over and over again. And they've talked about these bikes as being approachable, inviting, fun. And that's the launch pad for people into the KTM group. I guess the subtext there is you're always talking about KTM as a ready-to-race brand. It's a bit intimidating, it's race, it's out of reach. A Husqvarna you're always talking about with premium products, and you pay a premium price for those things. So these bikes are very much pitched, both the motocross and the enduro range, where a clubbing guy feels really comfortable. Okay, it might be down-spec'd a little bit, it's cheaper, but it has that pedigree and that reliability and that performance, all those elements that are sort of donated to it now that these bikes are made out of the Austrian factory. So let's have a little look. As we said, as I said a little bit earlier, a condensed range. You've only got 3 motocross bikes and 4 enduro bikes. Again, just revisiting, how similar and how different are they? So, let's, for the sake of convenience, compare these GASGASs to KTMs and break it up. First of all, the motocrosser and the enduro. So, the obvious stuff and the visible stuff in terms of the differences, so the plastics are quite different. The shrouds on both are different. That means a different tank to accommodate those different radiator shrouds. Most of the plastics are different. Wheels, not only are they silver, there's a slightly lower spec XL rims. You've got Maxxis tyres on the enduro bikes and on the motocross bikes, whereas you've got Dunlops on the KTM and Huskies. What else we got? The triple clamps on the motocross bike are cast, whereas on both Husky and KTM now you've got the billet clamps. A few other little things like the resonating chamber or that power bomb header you don't have on the GASGAS. No map switch selector, and the connectivity unit with the new smartphone tunability. The wire's there, but it's not currently integrated. So there's sort of the differences. And incidentally, these bikes, both the enduro and motocross bikes, run a Husky swing arm. Seat on both models is KTM with a new cover. So that's the difference with the motocrosser. And while we're on the motocrossers, you're talking about the difference again. For convenience sake, let's talk about the difference between KTM and GASGAS. So you got about $700 or $800 cheaper is a GASGAS to compare the KTMs. Around $900 to $1,000 compared to when you compare the GASGAS to Husky. Right, so let's have a look on the enduro. Again, plastics all different, fuel tank are different as well. Probably the big thing is the hydraulics, both the brake and the clutch, and the entire system is BrakeTech, Spanish company, instead of the Brembos that they run on the motocross bikes. Again, seat is KTM with a different cover on the thing, and interestingly a linkage. So interesting, even though they run the Husky swing arm, they're actually running a KTM linkage. So Other things, slightly lower bars on both. They run the same bars, unlike the other two brands. The GASGAS runs the same lower neck and bend bars. So that's interesting and actually gives the bikes quite a different feel. So look, it's been a great day, you know, come out here, be part of this sort of repositioned, relaunch, reinvigorated GASGAS brand under the KTM banner. You know, we've had some fantastic riding both on the enduro range and on the motocross bikes. Got a good insight into it. So Jeff Ballard actually came out here and has done a bit of testing on the enduro loose with me. He also did a few laps out here at the motocross track. And then Transmoto's Jared Duffy as well, who's had an absolute ball on the 125 and then 250, 454 stroke. So we'll have a bit of a chat to those guys in a separate video and get some feedback about, you know, what stood out for them about these new GASGAS 2021 machines.